Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're glad that you can be here with us tonight. This is a pre-recorded show, which I may comment on a couple of times during the broadcast, because in the past pre-recorded shows that we've had, people are still trying to comment and wondering why we're not answering you.
Which you can still comment, just don't expect a response right away.
Right. And we're glad to have you watching
Sure.
live the night that this is on. This will be on the night before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. And
Yeah, don't eat too much tomorrow.
right.
All right, go ahead and eat a lot.
And you might be very busy tonight, but we're glad you're watching the show and listening to the show. You might not know this, but Rob and I have 6 children and 6 children-in-law and 14 grandchildren. And we have Thanksgiving and Christmas at our house. So right now, I'm probably losing my mind in the kitchen. So we really won't be able to answer any of your comments right away.
So this is episode 34, if you
Okay.
can believe it. It's going to be airing November 24th, like Joan said. And tonight we have a repeat guest, author of the popular sci-fi series, The Cassidy Chronicles,
Yeah.
Mr. Adam GAFFEN. So we're going to add him in right now and welcome him. Hi, Adam.
Hey, Rob. Hi, Joan.
Hi. Happy Thanksgiving. It sounds weird to say that to you today.
It does.
Yes, and a happy Thanksgiving back to you. I can't imagine having all of those people in the house. It's
We
just-
can't either.
Yes, we can.
how many tables do you have to have
We have
you know?
3 set up.
3 set up, 1
Three
giant
set-
one,
We
and
used
2 auxiliary tables.
We
Yeah.
used to have 3 set up in a children's table, but now we don't only have 2 young grandchildren. They are 6 and 9, but everyone else is from 27 years old down to 12 years old. And there's only 2 that are 12. So everybody's pretty much grown up. So that means boyfriends and girlfriends that come. So
Yeah.
that even multiplies that out. So
That's for
yeah,
sure.
it's crazy.
It's
Our house
happening in
is,
place.
yeah. We were
Yeah,
always the house.
puts the organized into organized chaos.
There you go. Before we get much farther, I want to mention to those that are watching the live broadcast that's pre-recorded. That always sounds funny to me, but it's true.
It is.
There is a book giveaway for those that are watching the live broadcast on November 24th. So if you're watching, stay tuned and get in on the book giveaway. We'll announce that right after the commercials at the bottom of the hour.
Right. So what's new with you, Adam? What's been happening lately?
Well, let's see. I released the 5th book in the Cassidy Chronicles series back in August. That is Triumph's Ashes, and it concludes the Artemis War story arc, which is kind of phase 1 of what I've started to refer to as the Cassidyverse. These stories, the first 5 novels, really focused on Ayana and Kendra and what they were going through to establish Kendra's Terran Federation. Since then, I've been working on a couple of projects. One is a novel set in the Cassidyverse, but Ayana and Kendra are not the main characters. It's the first one I'm writing without them as the central figures, and it's set a few years further down the line and centers around a new class of starship that is dispatched on a 3-year mission to go farther than anybody had gone before. The idea is to go out and see what there is to see it's a massive starship. It's 4 kilometers long and
Wow.
2 kilometers wide, and
my
has
God.
4,000 people aboard. Yeah, I mean, a city in space kind of thing.
That's what I was
Right.
just going to say. It sounds like a small city.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so this one is focusing more on the interpersonal relationships aboard the starship, because 4,000 people, there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be changes and developments, and it's been really interesting to write so far. It's fun. I'm also working on my Kindle Vella project, which is Ayana and Kendra, but it's set back when they were children. See, they grew up together. They were neighbors, and they were also born 3 weeks apart. So they've known each other, since infancy. And so I thought it would be fun as a serialized story to write about the misadventures they had as children, because Kendra's always been Kendra. She's always been impulsive and, okay, let's do something, let's do this, let's do that. And Ayana she's always been the genius trying to figure out, okay, how do we make what Kendra is thinking of happen? So the problem is, when the parts I've been writing are when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and they're not exactly thinking of, well, if we do this, what are the consequences going to be? They're not thinking consequences. They're like, oh, let's do this, and let's see what happens. So,
Yeah,
and that one is written from Kendra's perspective. So it's written in first person. So she, it's in the way of a memoir, and it's called Memories of Ayana, and that's, like I said, it's a Kindle Vella project.
How do you like working with the Kindle Vella?
It's interesting. So there's a knack, and I'm still learning it. There's a knack of writing an episodic series, because you have to have a beginning, middle, and end of every episode. So it has to be a self-contained story, but there has to be enough for somebody to come back the next time as well.
Right.
So striking that balance, it's something I've gotten better and better at.
So you're finding a challenge.
It is a bit of a challenge, yeah. But like I said, because of the subject and because it's written first person, I've got to put myself into Kendra's head, which is an interesting place to be. And
I bet.
And so, oh yeah. And so, I think I'm getting better. I don't know if I'm going to do another Vella project, because the Cassidy stories, they tend to lend themselves to lots of threads coming together at once, without the beginning, middle, and end in each separate, each chapter in a book. So we'll see.
That sounds like the hard part. Is the format user friendly?
The format is relatively user friendly. Amazon is still beta testing it. It rolled out in July.
Right.
They're still beta testing it, which means you can see it on your computer, so you can read it on your computer. You can read it using a browser on an Android phone.
Okay.
And I guess there's a Kindle Vella app if you have an Apple phone. I don't, so I don't know. So they're still beta testing it. They're still tweaking it. I think that when Vella goes to the Androids, then it's really going to take off, because it's formatted perfectly to read it on a phone. If you look at it on a computer, it's this narrow strip of text right down the middle of the screen.
Right.
And it's really easy to read. It's obviously designed to be read on a phone or on a tablet. So when it goes to the Androids, I think it will increase. And Amazon, I know, has been increasing their advertising of it. And they still give when you start reading a Vela project, as a reader, you can read the first 3 episodes for free. So you get to try it before you have to buy anything. And then Amazon is still, as far as I know, giving away 200 tokens. Once you read 3 episodes, they're going to give you 200 tokens to unlock more before you have to buy any tokens.
Okay.
So, right. And the tokens are cheap, and unlocking the episodes, it's 1 token for every 100 words, and an episode is at least 600 words. So you're going to spend at least 6 tokens. But in terms of how much that costs you, it's going to cost you like 2 cents a token. So it costs you 12 cents to read a 600-word episode.
Okay, so that's
not a bad deal.
As long as they make it easy for people to understand it, I think that's a key for Amazon anyway.
And for the reader.
Yeah, the reader needs to.
The reader's not going to want to read it.
They need it to be really user friendly in order to move into that stream.
So actually,
right now,
go ahead.
Right now, the only bump in the road that I see is they don't have a specific app for it out yet. Once they have the app out, or once they integrate it into the Kindle app, then it's going to take off.
Yeah, especially the Kindle app, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See, we've talked to a lot of authors that are writing it, but not a lot of readers. We haven't found any readers that are reading it. So, it's just something I think our audience would be interested in.
Do you get any feedback from readers through that? I mean,
I've gotten some. It actually has a couple of reviews.
Okay.
Both of them 5 stars. So the people who have read it have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you have the option at the end of each episode to put a thumbs up. Mine, I decided to go with the weekly format. So I drop 1 episode a week. Every Tuesday, there's a new episode out. So a new one will have dropped a couple days ago. And
so I guess your 3rd episode is one that you need to really amp up and put some nuggets in there to make them want to come back to see what's going to happen in the 4th one.
Cliffhangers.
Like cliffhanger kind of thing, right?
Yeah. That would be what most of the authors are going to do. A nice setup, a nice build for the first couple, and then 3rd one, it's like, do they or don't they? Find out next time.
There you go.
I know you have a lot of fans that really love the Cassidy Chronicles. So for them, this is really great, to follow their, heroines from an early age and see what they were getting into before they became who they are today. I mean, I think that's great. Yeah. I think that's great for your followers. I'm sure they are loving this.
So which book is your first book?
The first one is just titled The Cassidy Chronicles.
Right there.
That's this one, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Ayana with the red hair and Kendra looking a little bit menacing and standing in front of Kendra's car. Her carefully restored car.
I see that.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Okay.
That's really good.
That is.
I also heard that maybe you've been entering some of your covers in contests. How has that been going?
Good. Triumph's Ashes was entered in the October cover of the month contest. Yep, that one. I love the cover. My designer, Emily's World of Design, has done all of the Cassidy Chronicles novels. and she is fantastic. She really gets it, and she listens too, because we go back and forth as we're setting up the design and talking about, okay, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to do it, and we'll go back and forth on preliminary designs. But she's usually very close with even her preliminary designs because we've talked so much beforehand, and she knows the characters at this point. She knows what I want them to look like. And
is there an easy how would another author get a hold of her if they were interested?
Let's see.
Do you know?
She is on Facebook and she's on Instagram as Emily's_world_of_design. She's also on Twitter as Emily Designer.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna reiterate. She's absolutely fantastic. She, her turnaround is quick. The longest I've ever waited for a cover is a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Wow,
that is fast. That's
to get a good quality cover. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody who's doing books knows that's fast.
Yes, and she designed as well the cover for the omnibus edition, which is all 5 of the novels plus a novella which I wrote just for the omnibus. Nice. It's the only place you can get it. It's called The Martian Gambit, and and the idea is that it's the Artemis War story arc from beginning to end.
No, I had that's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I know it's asked a lot on just about every show that we have of the author who's on that day, is you were mentioning that particular arc. And is that how you always write? You have an arc that you're following, and of course it would be different for each book within that arc, but do you have a rigid arc that you follow for each book, or are you more of a pantser, or are you an outliner, or do you start at the end and go back to the beginning?
Right. The term that I've heard for what I do is kind of a gardener or a plantser. I know where I want the book to end up. I know what I want to get out of it. I have no idea as I'm writing it how I'm going to get there. So I don't have outlines. I don't have, I'll take notes. As we're talking today, I actually have the notes up for the Cassidyverse novel I'm working on. So I have a document of notes so that I can keep track of the characters and who they are and the relationships and what they're doing. Yeah. But I don't plot it out beforehand. I don't write, it develops.
Yeah.
And as it develops, I make sure that I keep track of it.
Yeah. As you create something, you write it down because 2 weeks from now, you might be going, what? What did I do there?
So it's character driven, and you let the characters drive the story.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm an author, and the words are definitely mine, but it's my character's story.
Yep.
So they're the ones who need to tell it.
Yep. Yep. And it's hard for someone who doesn't write to understand what you're talking about, but that's very true. I mean, your characters are very real, and there are things they won't do and things that they will do, and they may even take you on a road you never intended to go down, but you find yourself going down that
absolutely
road. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
There are characters that just to give you an idea, I like to include real names in my novels.
Yeah.
So what I'll do every so often is I'll go up and, in a group that I'm in and say, hey, I'm looking for volunteers. And so I did that. I did that when I was writing the second volume The Road to the Stars. And this one girl replied, and she said, "Ooh, I'd love to be in there." And her name was Justina Brianna Daniela Garcia.
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, that's a fantastic name. I'm turning you into triplets." So in Road to the Stars, yeah. So in the Road to the Stars, there's Justina, Brianna, and Daniela, and they're all pilots, and so they all have their handles. They all have their nicknames. Justina is Junkyard, Brianna is Batgirl, and Daniela, because she was trained as both an engineer and a pilot, got the nickname Double Dip. It was just this cute little clever little nickname, right? And that was the entire intent of having her there. Flash forward to Triumph's Ashes, and Daniela is now a major character. She's the one standing on your side of the screen in the background. That's Daniela. And she is a dire wolf pilot. She is the deputy commander of the attack group. And yes, exactly on that side.
She's the one with the short back hair.
There you go.
Yep. And she is, like I said, she's turned into a major character. I never expected her to be anything than a clever nickname. And yet, there she is.
Cool. That's way cool.
So I have to know, are the triplets identical?
I never actually specify if they are or they aren't.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay.
Maybe yes, maybe no. It's part of my writing style. I'm putting so much into these books. I don't want to clog up the books with unnecessary detail. All I want in there is the stuff that is absolutely positively needed to move things forward. So Daniela gets a description. Brianna and Justina, because they are really minor characters, don't.
Right.
I will let the reader fill it in with their imagination. They know that they're sisters. They know what Daniela looks like. They can assume that her sisters look like her or not.
Yeah. They might want to assume that they look differently because of their, personality or whatever. That's a really good way to write a book for the reader, is to let their imagination run wild. It's perfect. That's why people like your books.
Thank you. And it keeps from, bogging down with page upon page upon page of description and exposition and explanation. I've gotten to the point where at the end of the books, I put in, basically appendices, giving the details which are good for understanding what's going on in the book, but not necessary. Like the end of Triumph's Ashes, there's an appendix with the native life forms for the planet Freyr, which play a major part in the book. And there's some of that scattered through the book, but this compiles it more and puts it all in one place. And there are a couple of illustrations which I had done so people can get an idea. Okay, this is what a Freyr's goat looks like. And this is what a tree cat looks like.
Yeah. So they can go back to that and reference it if they want to.
Do you enjoy creating worlds, or do you find it really difficult, or both?
Yes.
Yes.
I really enjoy creating the Cassidy verse. When I started writing Road to the Stars, it was not supposed to be a Cassidy novel. I was done with them. The first one, the Cassidy Chronicles, is called that And it doesn't say, at the bottom, volume 1, because it wasn't supposed to be volume 1. It was just supposed to be the Cassidy Chronicles. So it was the story of those two. And if you read it, even now, at the end of it, there's an epilogue, which gives you kind of and this is what happened afterwards. Kind of broad strokes, which have not limited me terribly much in what I've written since.
Right.
I've stayed within the guardrails. So anyways, so with Road to the Stars, I had started writing it because I had an idea. Okay, there's a unified world government, and there's an impending crisis that's being brought on by, a treaty between that government and the government of the colonies on the Moon and Mars and Titan and the asteroids, which is tilted very heavily in favor of those bodies, and they're taking advantage of it. And so what is this government going to do? So I had this whole scenario set up, and I wrote a few thousand words, and I was like, the world just wasn't there. I couldn't get, I had this focused view, but I didn't get the whole world. And so I was like, well, what happens if I have this government reach out to the Cassidys? It's a few years later, and they've been influential, so they reach out to the Cassidys for help. What does that do? And all of a sudden, now it was a lot easier, and the world, which had been sketched out in volume 1, now really got to expand, because now it's more about, again, Kendra and Ayana and the dreams that they've been pursuing. And now I can talk about all the obstacles that they're facing in instituting those dreams.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I've got 5 dogs asleep behind me, so.
Well, we hope ours doesn't wake yours up.
No, I just have the one earbud in.
We need to break for our commercial. Now, we're going to take a couple commercials. When we return, we're going to talk to Adam about book giveaway and blog tour and whatever else comes up. So hang in there, and we'll be right back.
Hey, look at us. We've got a new store.
Yeah, we do. It's pretty exciting.
What can you find there?
We have a number of designs available on t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, laptop and phone cases, pillows, and new designs are coming in all the time.
Sounds like a great place to shop for authors and readers.
Yeah, and it's easy to find. It's simple. Just visit indiebooksource.com, click on the store tab, and you're there.
At Indie Booksource, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today. WLFE Digital Broadcast Network presents Variety Unlimited Television. Watch shows like Meet the Author Podcast, The Bipolar DM, Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Unfiltered Talk with Bryce, and more. That's right, our shows are your shows on WLFE Digital Broadcast Network. And now, back to the show.
Hi, everybody. We're back. Joan will be back in just a second. Had a little technical thing to take care of, but involving a doggy. Understand. Well, let's get your book giveaway going. At this point, we might as well get that going, right?
Yep.
Here's the book giveaway for everybody that's been hanging in there. The first 3 people to email adamgaffenauthor@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of choice. Make sure in the subject line of your email that you put Meet the Author podcast in that subject line. Okay, and everyone feel free to go ahead and send out those emails.
Sorry I was missing, but
Welcome back.
thanks. Our 6-year-old granddaughter is here on her first ever all alone sleepover, and she needed a snack. And our dog went ballistic for some reason.
Wanted a snack too?
I gave him a snack.
Him?
Her.
Oh, okay. That could
I
have
don't
been
know.
the problem.
We haven't been that long. I also
Somebody else's dog is in here, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm old. Give me a break.
So I'm going to say, I'm going to suggest for all the people who are busily composing their emails.
Yes.
I will happily give you any one of the first 5 volumes of the Cassidy Chronicles. So Cassidy Chronicles, Road to the Stars, Measure of Humanity, A Quiet Revolution, Triumph's Ashes. However, if you don't know the series, either start with Cassidy Chronicles or Road to the Stars. Because you can start with either one perfectly well. You don't have to read Cassidy Chronicles to read Road to the Stars. But the other ones, especially Triumph's Ashes, yep, that one is kind of the prequel. Road to the Stars is where things really kick into high gear. Now, if you're familiar with the series and you just haven't picked up Triumph's Ashes yet, well, why not?
There's your opportunity.
But, there you go.
Here's your opportunity. But Triumph's Ashes is the only one I've written that doesn't have a lot of backstory in it, because it picks up as A Quiet Revolution ends. There's no gap between the two. It's essentially one book that's 250,000 words long, which is why it's 2 books.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words. Yes, when I was putting together the omnibus, which contains all of the books and all of the appendices and that novelette, the word count is something like 610,000 words in those 5 novels plus. So,
in War and Peace, there's a lot of words.
There's
in War
a lot
and
there.
Peace.
I don't know.
But I think you probably have more than War and Peace. just saying, that's a lot of words. Well, also, before too long, I want to put all of this up on how you can reach Adam. His website is www.cassidychronicles.com. Those of you who are listening and not watching the vodcast, and you're just listening to the podcast, that's spelled C, not K, sorry, CASSIDYCHRONICLES. I think you all know how to spell .com. And his Facebook is adam.gaffen, ADAMGAFFEN. And I love his Twitter handle. It's @rabidchipmunk42. Okay, is there a story about a rabid chipmunk?
So way back when I signed up for Twitter, I was living in Maine. This is 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. And we had chipmunks running all over the place. And they would sit there and chitter at you. And so I thought, oh, well, that's a cute, that's a cute kind of play on things. Rabid chipmunk, nobody would ever expect that. So I tried to take that as the as the handle, and somebody already had it. So I threw in 42 because that is, as you know, the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything.
There you go.
For those of you who are sci-fi aficionados, you get that. That's great.
We also
It
noticed
is.
Adam isn't wearing a red shirt. So
Yes, because he's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that
Yes.
meme that went around when William Shatner went up in space for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and
Nobody
noticed he didn't wear a red shirt?
Nobody on the flight did.
No, they all wore blue.
Blue.
There you go.
And Instagram is Adam Gaffen. And we've already given the email, but I'll give it again.
Yeah, I didn't spell it out. So yeah.
It's adamgaffenauthor@gmail.com, and that's AdamGaffenaUthor. You would think after all these times I'd get better at this, but nope, I still get tongue-tied.
You do fine.
Well, that was a different response to Rabbit Chipmunk than I thought I would get.
Didn't you think he got attacked by one or something?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. His mom said, "Don't go near that chipmunk." Okay, Mom.
Because, as we've said, we do have 6 children, and one of our daughters, and I won't name her.
She probably knows who she is.
Yeah. One time she went outside and there was a vole. I don't know if you know what a European vole is. Okay. And she decided she should pet it, and it let her pet it, and then it bit her, which ensued with the whole neighborhood, with every kind of basket and laundry basket and bucket that you could think of, running around the neighborhood trying to catch this vole so that they could test the vole and not have her go through very painful, treatments. And we called in the animal services and everything, and they brought a cage that would have kept a raccoon happily inside,
Easily,
but not a vole.
And the raccoon's family, probably.
So a neighbor caught it. The neighbor caught it with the laundry basket. and that's what they used to take it to be sacrificed, to make sure that
they put it in the laundry basket, then they put it in the dryer and shrunk it.
No.
And then put it no, they didn't do that.
Anyway, it wasn't rabid.
We're kind of getting right here.
Yeah, but I really did think that maybe you had a similar story. And what she said afterwards, she was 8 years old, and what she said afterwards, when I said to her, "What have you learned from this?" And she said, that next time I'll pet it on the back end, not on the front. I said, no.
Not the right thing.
That's not the lesson.
No, you're missing a little detail there.
Jeez.
So before we get much further here and run out of time, which we're kind of running a little late here, this is Thanksgiving coming up here tomorrow, and you're talking about blog tours. You know something about a blog tour?
So this month, I've been appearing on a bunch of other indie authors' blogs with some guest posts, some exclusive excerpts, some interviews. I don't remember which blog it was that picked it up, but there is a interview that they did with Cass and Ken, with Ayana and Kendra. So
really,
there's an interview floating around out there of the main characters.
That's so really good.
Fun.
Where will you be posting that for people to find out where exactly you're going to be? On your website?
So the best place to go if you need to find out anything is CassidyChronicles.com.
Okay.
Because I have all sorts of pages there I've got chapters posted up so you can read read the books one chapter at a time. You can find out where I've appeared. I put up links for example, tomorrow there'll be a link up there to this vodcast and podcast, so that people can click on it and come back to it. Let's see. There are freebies and giveaways there. Just before the end, I'll tell your listeners where they can go to get a free book.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'll hold off until just before the end.
Okay. Got about 10 minutes. So
I just
Got about
wanted
10
them
minutes.
to know.
Okay.
I just wanted them to know for sure where they could
Right,
find
right.
where to find you when you're doing all these blogs and
Absolutely. That CassidyChronicles.com, that is the place to go, because I keep that updated with all the appearances I make, and they can go from there. Or, find me on Facebook. There's a fan page on Facebook that gets updated. There's a Cassidy Chronicles page on Facebook that gets updated. Or just reach out to me on any of the social media, or send me an email. Say, hey, where are you? What are you doing? Where'd you show up?
where are you hiding?
Where are you hiding? I'm not hiding.
he's not
And
hiding.
No, it is.
And I wanted to mention, during the advertisements, you put up the ad for Triumph's Ashes.
Yes.
Yes.
And, I have been so fortunate in finding great people to work with, as an indie author. Lexi Lyric, she's based out of New York City. She is a dancer, and she does these book trailers, as a side project. I mean, she could make a living doing these. She is so good at them.
That is such a great trailer.
Awesome?
I love it. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
At the end, you're just like, really?
I love the explosion. That you don't expect that. It's like, whoa.
I know.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And
she's done 4 of them for me.
We really love that one. We've played it a lot because we love it a lot, and we want people to see that and understand what your Cassidy Chronicles are all about. It's like breathtaking every time. It's really a good trailer, and it shows what your book is about.
Yeah, and Triumph's Ashes, it's the first one that really gets into. I didn't set out to write military science fiction. I mean, that's a niche all unto itself. You really need to have a good background. You really need to know combat in order to write convincing military science fiction.
Right.
But some of, it's the end of the war. It's the end of this 2-year war that Cass and Ken had no intention of getting into. But once they were in it, they're like, we're not losing. So, we'll end this war however we can. We're just not losing. And the other thing I want to mention, talking about fantastic people that I've been associated with, are the narrators I've had, because all of the books are available as audiobooks. So Jane Weatherstone did volumes 1, 2, and 3, and she's a theater performer, has great range, really created the characters. And then Veronica, unfortunately, she ran into some scheduling conflicts as theaters opened up more. She backed away from her narration work, which was a pity, because I really enjoyed working with her. She's a consummate professional. And if she's available, if you are an indie author and you need a good, strong female voice who can do most, American, English, Canadian, Australian accents, grab her. So after her schedule conflict, I went looking and I found Veronica Wiley. And what she's done, she is a television and film actress. So I don't know if it's the background that's made the difference, but she took what Jane did in those characters, and she's dialed it up to 11. She's really brought the emotions out. She's really brought acting into it and added the little details that take a book from being narrated to being performed. So,
Right.
and so she's done A Quiet Revolution, and she's done Triumph's Ashes, and I couldn't be more pleased with either of these ladies. There's nothing like it as an author when you hear your own words being read the way you imagined that they could sound.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It
You write it in
really
your head.
hits.
When they say, "Oh no," and to have it sound like that instead of "Oh no,"
Yep.
To hear it the first way, which was the way you wrote it, you're like, yes, that's wonderful. That is a huge deal right there, because that's how you wrote the story. That's what you meant. That's the emotion you wanted your audience to see and to feel and to hear when you wrote it. So that's really good.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
That's for
especially with Triumph's Ashes, especially with this one, because it really, towards the end of that book, I'm really not pulling any punches. The whole idea, every book has a theme, and Triumph's Ashes, it's an unusual title because the idea I want to get across is that there is no such thing as a triumph without sacrifice. There is no victory that doesn't come with a cost. So are these people who I've been writing about for umpteen thousand words, are these people willing to make this sacrifice? It's presented to them. Are they willing to make the sacrifice? Are they willing to pay the cost in order to have their, push their dreams forward, and keep their ideas and ideals alive? And when you start talking about, characters dying, people dying, it really, it's never easy to kill off a character. I don't care how minor they are. It's never easy to kill off a character.
That's for sure.
It's hard. It is hard. And it's hard for the reader too. But they're going to feel real emotion from that.
Yeah.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, and you had something you wanted to swing back to and talk to people about?
Sure. Yes. So if you want to get a free copy of The Road to the Stars, go to storyoriginapp.com and type in my name, Adam Gaffen, and it will bring you to a place where you can download your very own copy. All it's going to ask you to do is put in your email, because that way you can get my newsletters. Well, no,
that's a good idea.
I have one newsletter which comes out every 2 weeks, and that tells you about sales and promotions and other indie authors, and their books and what they're doing. And then Kendra has a newsletter which comes out a few days later, again, every 2 weeks. And what she's doing is she's currently telling the story about how she got recruited way back when. She got recruited to be a courier and eventually an assassin for Outlook. Now, I'm not going to say any more because I've already given you some spoilers.
There you go.
Yeah.
So again, where do you go to find that?
Story Origin, STORIGINAPP.com.
And put in Adam Gaffen.
Put in Adam Gaffen.
Okay, thank you.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is I've started a Patreon for my fans with levels down all the way down to $3 a month. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a way to pledge. Think of it like making a monthly pledge to National Public Radio for your favorite author.
Right.
So you pledge $3 a month and you get certain things. You pledge another level, you get the certain things and then some more. So far, it's been pretty successful. I appreciate the support because it allows me to do more as an author, because that money I can take and I can put back into, I can put that back into my writing. I can put that back into the covers, into the narrators, and all the wonderful things that everybody knows. Life ain't free.
And narrators at that level ain't cheap.
No.
No.
Professional videos are not
cheap
either.
So all those things cost.
Yep. So Patreons are, I appreciate their patronage, and so on Patreon, just go type in Cassidy Chronicles.
Patreon at Cassidy Chronicles. I know a lot of artists are doing that, all different kinds of artists, not just authors, but we know some paranormal investigators that are doing that so that they can continue doing what they're doing, because that's something else that we do that ain't cheap either.
Yeah.
And we don't charge anything for anything that we do. So yeah.
Yeah. I will say that from the second tier on up, the biggest perk from the second tier up is every month they get an exclusive look at whatever I'm writing at the time. It's a nice big chunk. It's not just a couple hundred words. It's a nice big chunk of the story.
Nice.
So,
that's cool.
So they get kind of an inside look. And if somebody pledges all the way up at the top, they get a chance to collaborate with me.
Oh,
if they have ideas of where they want, some Cassidy character to go, then that's the pledge to make, because then I'll work with them to make it happen. If they want to write it and they want me to look it over, and we'll collaborate there. Or if they just want to give me the idea and I'll write it and send it to them so that they can look it over and they say, oh, okay, this is what I had in mind, or no, I don't. I'd love to do collaboration like that.
That's wonderful.
That's way cool.
That is very cool. I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
It's a good program. Good program.
I'd like to see more creative people do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, looks like our time's up.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Adam, for joining us again. And I'm sure 2022 we'll probably have you back again. And
if you'll come.
Love being here.
I'm sure, and maybe a new entry in the Cassidy Chronicles at that point. So,
well, the Cassidy universe.
There should be
universe, I should say.
There should be another one coming out soon. Don't have a date yet, but it's getting. I forgot. Yes, it's just coming out. There is a Cassidy Chronicles story. It's a short story in the Holiday Hijinks Winter Whimsy anthology.
Okay.
It's just coming out, and it's set back when Cass and Ken are teenagers. So it's a fun little story. I had a lot of fun writing it, and it's all about a Christmas party that doesn't quite go the way they planned it to.
So if they pop into your website, they'll
find it.
Stay on top of it, right? And maybe get on your newsletter. Okay.
Absolutely.
We're going to move you over now because we're going to have to bug out of here, clear the studio. So I'm going to move you over. December is next week. We've got another live show coming up. KJ Waters is going to be our first author for December.
Yay.
We have also coming up Wendy Scott, Kim Nugent, Susan Kite, and Tori Gates are all scheduled at this point for December. A lot of things can happen between now and then, but hopefully
That's
the way
plan.
it'll be going. That's the plan at this time. So until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.